second video today, I'm going to talk about something kind of serious, which I just now realized is kind of funny that I'm wearing like a Cookie Monster shirt, but I'm going to discuss something really serious. But I want to discuss dealing with the loss of a loved one due to suicide. And this month, the month of March, really makes me think about this because 3 years ago, my older sister committed suicide, and it was 10 days after my grandfather had died from cancer. So it was just a horrible month for me. And every time March rolls around, I mean, I always think about my sister, but I think about her a lot more this time of year. And I want to say, first of all, I've always had kind of an interest in suicide. Not like, I think it's good or anything, or I want to do it, but I've always had an interest in psychology and mental illness. And because of that, I've always been kind of interested in people who commit suicide. And when my sister committed suicide, that interest got even deeper. I think partly because I wonder what she was feeling and thinking, when she did it, or, did she realize really what she was doing? Did she think she was going to wake up? There's a lot of questions with her death. And it was an overdose on morphine. And she had some really bad addictions to painkillers anyway, although she was bipolar and really could be suicidal at times when she would get really depressed. So, I mean, she had a history of, suicide attempts and being hospitalized and being in treatment centers and things like that. And I can't say I was terribly surprised that, she committed suicide or that, she overdosed. But it's still, even though I always feared it may happen, and, I always tried to be there for her as much as I could, as much as she'd let me. But when it happened, I just can't explain that moment. It's surreal. It's hard to believe, even if in the back of your mind you've always thought, as a possibility that it may happen. And that's probably one of the worst days in my whole life, is the day that I found out that she had died. And I just, after, I was kind of numb for a while, and after the numbness kind of wore off, then I started, I felt some guilt, like maybe I could have done more, maybe if I'd have known she was suicidal, at that time, I could have done something. But honestly, at the time that she died, I thought she was doing a lot better, because she had recently been in a treatment center and, had gotten out, and she had told me herself how much better she felt, and that she really felt she was doing well. And she was, looking forward to spending spring break with her son. And it's just, I don't know. I didn't really see it coming at that particular time. And I've felt a lot of guilt over that. And I know I probably shouldn't, because it's not my fault, but it still is really hard to deal with sometimes. And I've also, like I said, I just wonder, what was she feeling? What did it feel like to actually commit suicide? I mean, did she feel anything after she took the meds? I mean, I certainly hope she didn't feel a lot of pain. And I've thought about that a lot, and just, just hope she passed out or something, and that, it wasn't really painful, or, she didn't regret it and then be unable to undo it or whatever. And this time of year, when I think about her death, it just, I don't know, it really puts me in a funk all the way around. And it makes me, sometimes I feel like life is hopeless and there's just no point in anything. And then other times I feel really thankful that I'm still alive. And, I want to live my life to the fullest, kind of to honor her, because she didn't get to. And I know a lot of why she committed suicide had to do with the bipolar, the mental illness, a history of abuse. Some definitely added to it. And she also had substance abuse problems, and I know those added to it, obviously. But overall, it's such a tragedy. And I mean, she died at the age of 35, and that's just way too young. And I'm 32 now, and I often think about the fact that, another 3 years and I'll be older than she was when she died. And that's kind of heartbreaking, because I was always the little sister, and, in a few years I'll kind of be the older sister because I'll be older than she ever was while she was on this earth. So that kind of stuff just really gets to me. And sometimes I don't know how to deal with all the feelings. And I mean, I've gone to a therapist like after she died and, you know, talked it out, like, you know, and I do feel better now. Like the first year after she died was awful, and I was falling apart inside, and I didn't know how to deal with anything. And um, I'm fortunate that at least I've kind of come out of that, but it's still really hard sometimes. And whenever I hear other people who've lost loved ones to suicide, I feel great compassion for them and for anybody who loses someone that way, because it leaves so many questions and so many feelings. And if you weren't extremely close to the person, or if, like with my sister, the person kind of withdraws from family and friends and kind of shuts you out, then it hurts even more, because you not only mourn the loss of the person, but you mourn, you know, I always had this desire to be close with my sister and to have a great relationship. And when she died, it was like those hopes were all dashed. You know, I'd never have the relationship with her that I wanted. And so, you know, that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. And it's not easy, but I mean, it gets a little bit easier, I think, every year, but it's never going to, you know, go away. The pain's never going to go away. And the regret and the wish that things had turned out differently. And I mean, what happened started a chain of events that really affected her son badly. And I wish, that's a whole nother issue, but that breaks my heart too. And it's just, the whole thing just seems so sad and so unnecessary. So that's kind of what I wanted to say today, is just if you're out there and you're dealing with a suicide of a loved one, just know that there are people who understand and feel for you. And, you know, try not to beat yourself up too much about it, because most likely you didn't really have a lot to do with it. You couldn't have stopped them. And that's one thing I've learned, is no matter how much you want to, you can't stop someone else from being self-destructive. So I guess that's all I got to say today, and I appreciate you listening. And I was thinking, I don't want to make this too long, but I thought I might read a little short poem I wrote for my sister shortly after she died. This was inspired by something that was said at the eulogy at her funeral, but it's called What She Was. She was a butterfly, always beating her wings against the thick glass walls of her cage. She was a budding flower, drowned amidst the downpours of a cruel spring wind. She was my sister, the one who gave me my first best friend and my first black eye. She was everything to me, but now there's nothing left of her, nothing but ashes in a drawstring bag. And I've actually read that aloud at a few events, and it really seemed to move people, so I thought I'd share it here since I was talking about this subject. But so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment below if you want to share anything that you've experienced with the loss of someone due to suicide, or even if you yourself struggle with suicide issues. I definitely, you know, feel free to comment. And subscribe if you'd like to see future videos from me. It's kind of hard to end this video on a upbeat note because it's so depressing of a subject, but I appreciate you all watching. So thanks. Bye.